on the NRL website anymore. So thanks to those guys, because there was a couple of people that shouted that out to me. That's really helpful. And also thanks to everyone who pointed out that the story that I must have missed in the off season, which is that Andre Cervello got a serious injury in one of the warm-up games or in training a couple of weeks before the season started for the Broncos, so he won't be appearing for the Broncos in 2018. It looks very unlikely. So on Thursday it was the Sharks 16, the St George Illawarra Dragons 20. Gareth Widdop provided 2 try assists and kicked 4 from 5, and James Graham played for the victorious Dragons in this one. It was the Roosters 30, the Bulldogs 12 in a very comprehensive win for the Roosters. There it was the Broncos 24, the Cowboys 20 in the big Queensland derby. Karsten, the Swiss cowboy, got in touch and he said, "That fucking goalpost!" exclamation several times.
Yeah, I didn't catch up with this one, so I'll be honest, I've got absolutely no idea what the goalpost did, but I know it did something.
I think a player ran into the goalposts, which prevented them from getting the ball to score a try, I think. But yeah, I didn't watch it either, so I'm not sure. Warriors 20, Titans 8, so that's a great start for New Zealand Warriors this season, 2 from 2. The Panthers 18, the Rabbitohs 14, so bad start for the Rabbits.
There's some Burgess involvement, yeah.
Yeah, he made 122 metres. Tom Burgess 5 tackle busts, 104 metres. George Burgess also played. The biggest upset so far in this early run-in of the NRL season was the Storm 8, West Tigers 10. That's 2 really close, narrow wins for this unfancied West Tigers team against much more fancied opposition.
Does that put them on an incline?
They must be on the up. I mean, to beat the Storm in a tight, tense game, that's really impressive.
Or does that just mean the decline is just, it's building up, so the decline is greater?
Well, you can't. It gets to a point where you can't decline any further unless you have a small incline first. But I'm sure the guys at This Week in League will get us fully up to date on where we are on that incline-decline scale. But someone who is rapidly declining is the Parramatta Eels, and they were hammered this week, 54-0 by the
against Manly as well. So it's not exactly one of your top draw sides at the moment, the way they've been playing. And also the other game, the Raiders 28, the Knights 30, Elliot Whitehead with 2 tries.
Yeah, and this is the second close win for the Knights in a row. So, in relatively high scoring games, and it's the second 30 points to 28 loss for the Raiders already this season. So they're following on from last year of losing close games late, which is not a good sign for them in their top 8 ambitions, unfortunately. Into the National Conference League, because we have a televised game from that every week now on Free Sports, and we're not subject to any sort of broadcasting regulations, so we can swear freely. But Paul Wood needs to get a grip of his segues and his ways to react to things not quite going to plan in a live broadcast. Although I think that was edited in and they still missed it out.
Yeah, it was a drop in. Yeah, it was a drop in segment and they still kept it in, thinking it was funny. But
yeah, I suppose it got on a lot of media online stir, which is kind of in a way a positive for getting the coverage more noted, even if it's for a bit of a silly reason. But it was Lock Lane 8, Featherstone Lions 14 in what was basically white and brown. There was just mud and there was snow. There was no grass that you could see at all. And if the cameras hadn't rocked up from Soccer AM for Free Sports, this game wasn't going to be on at all this weekend, I wouldn't have thought. But watching this game got me definitely worried that just a stone's throw over the river, the Castleford Tigers ground was not going to be in shape to play the following day. Brian Davies got in touch though on this one, and he said, "Have really enjoyed the 2 live NCL matches on Free Sports this season. On free to air every Saturday afternoon about 4 p.m. Weather was horrendous, but it was a good solid game decided in favour of Fev with a try 2 minutes before the end to win 14-8. The Paul Wood blooper that should have been edited was unfortunate, but got him lots of attention on Twitter."
It definitely did. That's how I found out about it. One thing I have noticed on this coverage, there is now a way to watch it online. So if you are in a region where it doesn't exist on Freeview, like me down here in the southwestish, you can download the TV Player app, and then you can get around that and you can go into the sports section, and there Free Sports is for you to watch. There you go.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, good shout out. So if anyone didn't quite catch all of that, hit up at Tim Gradio on Twitter, and he'll point you in the right direction. That's all of the results from last week taken care of. It's time now to look forward into the future and see if I can improve on last week in this week's previews and predictions. So we move into the preview and predictions section, sponsored by Payroll Central UK Limited, who I understand are possibly going through a bit of a rebranding at the moment, and that's why the website might be down. But bear with them, because they're offering a great offer to our sponsors. But basically, they do what it says on the tin, and if you can still visit payroll-central.co.uk, check them out, and you can get some discounts from their services. Otherwise, we'll wait and see when they update us with their rebranding, basically. But thanks to them for their continued support in their transition. Right, we're on to round 7 of the Super League this week, Tim. And Thursday night starts with a game that a week ago I would have said I'm not looking forward to, but after Salford's performance against Hull FC and Widnes getting a bit of a rest, so maybe being able to get some of their kind of smallish squad sorted out and back together.
This could be quite entertaining if they're both playing the way they carry on the way they are. Then I think this could be quite good. And obviously, it's on Sky, so it's 7:45 kickoff. I'm tipping Widnes for this one.
I'm going to go with Salford. I think Widnes's pack isn't amazing this year, and I think Salford's pack is kind of coming into itself. If they can keep all those players that I mentioned earlier fit, I think they've got a pack that can help set a good platform. So I'm going to go with Salford 24-20 in a close one.
Yeah, okay. Also on Friday at 7:45, we've got Hull FC taking on Catalan down at the KC-KCOM Cuckoo Stadium down in there.
I've got Hull FC winning by a reasonable margin in an unexciting game. I've got it 18-4.
I've got Hull FC doing this one convincingly. I can't see anything else on this one, unfortunately. The way Catalan have been, I just can't see them lifting for Thursday night, Friday night even in Hull.
But they did win last year in Hull, so some hope there for Catalan. Friday night as well, the Sky game, the big game at Ellen Road that they're hoping to attract a new set.
The Clash, is that what they've called it?
Yeah, I just thought like the rematch or something might have sold it better, but the
undisputed champions or something like that.
Yeah, but Leeds won't want to necessarily give the crown up that easily. But they're on the way to a 20,000 plus crowd, let's say at Ellen Road, so that'll be really good for Leeds versus Castleford at 7:45. This one kicks up. This one's on Sky, like I said. What do you think?
I think I see Leeds doing this one. I think they get a lot of confidence out of that win last week, and I see them it being close, but I think they'll just have the edge on this one. I think they've backed themselves now from that performance to come back from being a little bit behind the momentum, which I think they will be for much of it. But I think they'll do it on. And Castleford still, they're not going to have that extra body in the pack in terms of Watts yet, because he's still serving his ban. So I see Leeds on this one.
Yeah, I think Leeds are going to win too. I think their defence is too good for a Castleford attack that's not quite fully clicked yet this year, and will have been hampered in terms of its training possibilities with all the weather they've had over the last week. Even though they'll have had a bit of time off, they won't have had time to practice. So I think Leeds' defence will keep them in check, and Leeds' attack is taking all the chances it's getting. Callum Watkins looks like he's going to be in, so that's all good. 28-16 Leeds.
Yep. Also on Friday, it's Warrington against Wakefield. This is the one I undernard about, and I went for Wakefield on this one. I think they will be that little bit more rested as much as anything, and so they'll be looking to do well on this one on their trip across.
Yeah, my arrow ended up pointing slightly the other way, and I think Warrington will have been buoyed by that experience of winning a game with solid togetherness, something to build from, good performances across the park, and now they can start to put performances on performances, I would hope, from their point of view. But I think they're going to win narrowly. Home field advantage and good forward performances. 20 points to 18. Their defence is really quite tight. They're restricting teams' meters, so that's kind of where I'm going for.
Yeah, and over at New Craven Park on Friday, we've got Hull KR against St Helens. Only one winner for me on this one. It had to be Saints.
Yeah, 26-10 I'm going in favour of Saints, even if they make a few errors in this one. I think even, Hull aren't terrible, Hull KR aren't terrible, and I'm starting to see a possibility that they could even finish in the top 8 come the end of the season now, but they're not in the same class as this Saints side who can't make as many crucial errors as last week, 26-10. And then
Yeah,
finally, on Friday night, it's my Wigan Warriors. All these Friday games, obviously, because Easter comes up the week after, so giving themselves a
as
bit of a
much
time
recovery as
span.
possible. Yeah,
So it's the only week in the year it makes sense to have all the games on at the same time. But it's 8 p.m. kickoff for Wigan versus Huddersfield. I'm, you know, I am 30-10 Wigan. Big win for Wigan against a side that's not as good as we are.
Yeah, I think Huddersfield's only chance is to put Wigan players that they get so annoyed by the cowbell that they all rush into the stands and mob the guy. That's possibly their only chance. So yeah, I've gone for
tipped off
Wigan
the
as
stewards. I've told them,
this one.
get that fucking cowbell out of our stadium.
It's like the opposite of Saturday Night Live here. We need less cowbell.
Yeah. Okay. So you think Wigan too? Yep.
Yeah, Wigan clearly on this one. Moving into the Championship and the game of the week, we picked up this one, Lee versus Dewsbury.
It's going to be Lee until they sort the shit out, isn't it? Really, because every game of theirs is a potential upset, which is a potential hilarity and all of that. But I do think, that tight win in terrible conditions at Batley, where they warmed up in the car park against a Dewsbury side that'll also be looking to bounce back from a disappointment, but don't quite have the squad.
It's the resources they've got, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think Lee need to sort it out and will start at this stage, and then hopefully this will be the last time that we have them as a game of the week for a while. But I've gone Lee.
There you go. And moving into League One, the game of the week there is Bradford against Hunslet. I've gone for a home win on this one. Bradford easily overcoming the not so noisy neighbours.
Yeah, I mean there's not much to look at in terms of the league table, but it's two teams who've got wins on the board basically. So I think the second and third on points difference and stuff. So they're kind of relatively evenly matched. But I do think Bradford will win this one, not hugely, but comfortably enough. Say a 14-16 point margin, something like that. In the NRL, the Sky televised games don't include any of our British players, but they are the Storm versus the Cowboys Thursday at 9:05. The Bulldogs versus Thursday at 9:05, that Storm Cowboys game. Should be a cracker.
Yeah.
Bulldogs versus the Panthers Friday at 7 a.m. That's your breakfast treat. West Tigers versus the Broncos. See if West could go 3 from 3. Friday at 9:05.
It's good. I've got the plumber coming Friday, so I can have that on working from home. That'd be good.
And then the ones that do involve the British players, if you've got the NRL Live or whatever the app's called, it's Raiders versus the Warriors Saturday at 4 a.m. Rabbitohs versus the Seagulls Saturday at 6:30 a.m. Then moving to Sunday, it's the Titans versus the Dragons at 6:10 a.m.
That'll be a nice early start if you fancy any of those ones.
Yeah, so now it's just time to wrap up the show, and we're going to go double quiz.
Ooh.
Right, Tim. Let's give you the honours of quizzing me first and seeing how terribly I do after, taking the joy of posing the quiz questions to everyone else over this last year. I kind of feel like we started a revolution in trivia in rugby league, because we started doing the quizzes at the start of last season, and then they started popping up on all the little websites and
there's been quite a few on.
Yeah.
Is it Love Rugby League or Total RL? One of the two of them keep doing them.
Total RL does them regularly. Love Rugby League's had a couple. Serious About Rugby League started throwing them out last year. I've not seen as much output from those guys since all their writers got proper gigs for the RFL or for clubs, but they're still around and they're still good friends of ours. But yeah, so to keep on that fine tradition is now on your shoulders, Tim.
Yeah.
As you test me out and see if I can do anything.
So to start off, I thought with me being do one of the things relate to me. So I would go for quiz questions about Welsh Rugby League.
Well, hopefully I'll have got some out of the Code Breakers doc then.
Yes, that's so. I haven't caught up on that yet, so it's downloaded, ready to go. In fact, it was what I was about to start watching as I got on that train on my way to Coventry on Sunday, so I can catch up with it this week.
I watched it and went to delete it off the planner, and Emma was like, "No, I want to watch it too." So, and getting her
Excellent.
to want to watch something rugby league related shows that it's got a deep touch to it, and
Yeah,
I know she'll enjoy it because it's right up her alley, that sort of stuff.
good work.
Especially things that slag off rich people for being hypocrites.